Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 16 millimeter film crew. I'm Cindy.
And I'm Dale.
You can watch us on YouTube. You can like and comment on our YouTube videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to us everywhere podcasts are found at 16 millimeter film crew podcast. And you can visit us on our website at www.16millimeterfilmcrew.com. This week, we watched Sing Sing. Here's your synopsis. Divine G, imprisoned at Sing Sing for a crime he didn't commit, finds purpose by acting in a theater group alongside other incarcerated men in the story of resilience, humanity, and the transformative power of art. This movie stars Colman Domingo, Clarence Divine I. Macklin, Sean San Jose, and Paul Racy. So, Dale, you watched this a while back, actually. You
Yeah.
watched this at what was it, like a special screening or something of it?
Yeah.
There.
Like I think I saw this shortly after either after TIFF. Well, TIFF was when it was making its festival run. So I
Mm.
think I saw it like before its first initial theatrical run. Though I think I saw it in like April.
Mhm.
I saw it around then. A wonderful movie. Like it was like so emotionally heart-wrenching like to watch, and the fact that a lot of the actors in this movie were a lot of the men who went through this program themselves. So I think that also enabled the movie to imbue itself with a strong sense of authenticity, because these are the men who've actually experienced and had success coming out this part of this whole rehabilitation process that this program comes about. And just watching, Divine G, even if it's Domingo Coleman's performance or the original person who shows up in the movie,
Mhm.
um that character arc of you see a good person just beaten down by the system and still trying to like find like, nah, the system works. And then you see that breaking moment, and how do you rebound from that? Like that arc was wonderful to see.
Yeah, this movie made me almost cry 3 times. Every single time that they were trying to make me cry, and not trying to, but like there was those moments where that really tugged on your strings. It was like I was like, I can't cry, I cannot do this.
Mhm.
So I had to take a break, but I came back. I This movie was genuinely wonderful, like so good. And I also just feel like it had me asking so many more questions like after it was over, mainly because like I was just like, these are men who, have committed crimes. Like some of them have, a lot of them in there have committed crimes and whatnot, but like the way that they're treated just feels so inhumane
Mhm.
that like you can't help but like feel like this huge amount of sympathy for them. And it has you just questioning, like, okay, like, how do we, like, when people do things to other people that are harmful to them, how do we deal with that? But also, how do we get them to a place where they can be rehabilitated, or we can at least discuss some of like what happened, like in their past, and like why that led them to do X, Y, or Z. And it obviously doesn't make up for anything, but it does explain things. And I feel like I don't know. It's just it's hard. It made me like go into like this existential question of like, because I know people are like they don't believe in the prison industrial complex. I don't either. I don't think that private prisons should be like a for profit. Like
Yeah.
that's a whole other thing. But like in terms of just like what do we do to people in society who break the societal rules, right? And then when they get into these systems, like, is there a way to just not like completely, I guess, torture them for the rest of their sentencing, like however long they're in there? Or is
Mhm.
there a way to like bring them around to coming to terms with what they did, hopefully feeling some remorse for what they did, but also like being able to leave this place and be contributing members of society again? So it's just very it just had me like asking so many questions, and my brain was just like going round and round. I was like, oh man, this is crazy. But in terms of like the actual story of these guys who are using acting in order to like get in touch with their feelings, in order to feel human in this terrible circumstance. It was just like very, very powerful
Mm,
and really moving. And I love that a lot of the actors are not actors, like they're guys who went through that system who were able to come out. And I think Clarence is like he does like mentorship and stuff like
yeah.
that. Like he is um giving back to his community and like helping other young people who are struggling as well. So I just thought that that was like so beautiful, and I'm sure really difficult for a lot of those guys to go back into these settings and having to like relive a lot of
Mm,
that stuff. But it just made, I don't know, it gave me a feeling of like hope, especially towards the end. It was just like really, really great.
yeah. Like the of the core theme of the movie is like redemption and freedom. Like they're all using the place as an escape to feel some sense of freedom. When um they're picturing images. He's one guy's talking about his mom, other guy's talking about being on islands, in those moments, even one of their friends comes back, went through the system, has got a job. He just talks about, yeah, I gotta wake up early the hell in the morning, but at least I can wake up in my own room and stuff like that. And he just talks about how, just driving on the street like late at night, with his music playing at his dog, just that sense of freedom, and I think that's something a lot of us, take for granted. Like I've never been in prison, but I know when I self-admitted for my mental health stuff, and like the way I was like restricted, I was like, if I'm seeking help for my issues and there are
Mm.
people thrown in jail against their own free will and how restricted they are and like treated like horribly, like I can only imagine what it's like for those men and women who are incarcerated, who don't get the chance to like no, okay, in a couple days I'm out. So like yeah, this movie was really, really like I was why I went to the screening with my sister, and then
Mm.
she nudged me, was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh, you're crying." I was like, "For real, for real?" I was like, "She's like, yeah." And like I don't know, like these projects like this just move me so much emotionally. And it's good to see the movies getting recognition it does. Like it's I think it's doing another theatrical run as
Hmm.
well. I think the 25th, I think. So like it's this is an amazing project. Domingo Coleman like really did his thing with this project as well.
Yeah. He was an executive producer, and he also, I think he set it up in a way where like everyone got points on the film. So
Hmm.
like it can go on their resume and stuff. Like, and I love things like that because to me, that's what like acting is like a part of the responsibility. It's not just like you being elevated and lifted up because of your performance and your like gift to inhabit characters. Like I feel like it's also like lifting everyone else up with you as you continue your ascent. Like Colman Domingo has been involved in all of these kind of award circuit Oscar conversations. Like he has been doing that for a while now. And I feel like as he continues to, I guess, have more exposure to more people. I mean, most people watched Euphoria, so they were able to see him on that. But like just in all these other projects that he's been doing, I feel like he has come into the public consciousness in a big way recently. And
Mm.
I know he's been working since like forever, so like this is great. But I just love that he was like, no, like I'm gonna take the painstaking steps to make sure that this movie gets made, that this movie gets seen by as many people as possible, and also that everyone who worked on the movie will be able to have stakes in it. And I think that that's just like a smart way to like like to be in the business. Like the best way to be in the business is just like lifting everyone up at the same time. It's really great, and especially a story like this. Like I don't know if this movie would have been able to get made, I don't know how many years ago. Like, and I also the fact that like A24 is the distributor of it, and the kind of weight that their studio holds, and the fact
Mm.
that that also gives people more exposure to see it. Like, I just think that like everyone who was involved in it, I think it was just great. Like, because that to me is like the most important thing. Like, is that you make this movie, but also that people can see it and get connected to it. Because I feel like when it comes to people who are in prison, there is such a distance. Like it's like, well, you did this, you did that. There's a distance, there's a judgment, like there's all these type of things. And it's easy to just like put that out of your mind and not think about it. But I feel like them kind of putting that into the center and like showing that these people have real humanity, Like, also the power of like what performance can do for you
Mm,
and like the outlet that that can provide. Like, I'm just really happy that this movie exists and that
yeah,
people are seeing it.
yeah. Like it's I don't know, and it speaks to humanity. Like it's like this picture is just so beautiful from top to bottom. I even seeing the dude Paul Racy, who was in
Mm,
Sound of Metal. Like he somehow popped. Like I went back and looked at his like filmography and the stuff he's done. He's like had a career resurgence post Sound of Metal where he's getting a lot of projects. So it's good to see an actor who really for a large span of his career wasn't getting opportunities, but now due to Sound of Metal and due to Sing Sing, he's getting a lot of opportunities. So it's wonderfully amazing and good for him as well. Um, I mentioned like one of the prisoners was like the guy with the beard. I don't remember his name. I think his name was JJ. Like
mm,
he was somebody who went through like, yo, I've been in jail. I'm in jail for a murder I didn't commit. Spent like 10 years trying to prove his innocence, and it
mm.
wasn't until he like wrote Dateline where they actually decided to investigate his case, in depth
Wow.
and got him out of there. Like so, like this just a lot of the stories like and even like Domingo character Coleman's character of John or Divine I or Divine G,
Mm,
like he was wrongly convicted as well.
yeah.
And that struggle of him, like I'm wrong convicted. I know the system works. We got evidence. I'm about to be out, and then all that work and effort goes to helping somebody else, especially at the time Clarence Divine I, his character was unwilling to do anything. Like, oh, this is the streets. This is the way life is. Fuck it, I don't care. And how he's like combative and hostile to everybody else. But like Devanji helps him once with the project, and he gets clemency, you know, right away. And then his is left like, yo, I've been doing this for like how long, helping everybody else. My man's Mike died. We
Mm,
reminisce and talking about stuff, and then I get denied, and you get your freedom. Like that whole breakdown and distrust of the system is so perfectly understandable in that moment.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that was hard. It was hard to watch because it's like, and I feel like they were setting that up in the beginning when he is doing his Hamlet audition and he does like a really great audition. And then he's like thinking that he has it on lock. And then Clarence comes in, does his audition, and he ends up getting the part. And it's interesting because it's like, obviously, this is a person, like Coleman's character is a person who has been in the system for a really long time and has found a way to like exist in it in a way
Mhm.
that like makes sense for him where he feels like he can have some sense of like personhood and like he's the leader of their little group as they decide on like which plays they're going to do and stuff. So like I feel like he's found a place in this system. And then Clarence comes and kind of just uproots all of that for him. And even in the gesture of like, oh, let me help you write your essay, so like, or your personal statement, so like you can try to get clemency. It was like, I think he and himself was like, you know what, I've been through this a lot of times. Like, let me just help you. Like, there's almost like a teacher student kind of thing that he
Yeah.
had with him. And then for him to get the letter, I think that also one of the things I really like about this movie is that when it comes to the stuff that's really hard, like how they get treated, having their rooms like ransacked often, like having to go through all these steps, having to get these approval or denials of like, will you have to stay in this system or can you leave? Like all of that is somewhat unsaid. Like it's not like all of it's visual. Like you can see all of it, but they don't really discuss it a
Mm.
whole bunch. So when he gets that thick package in the mail after his interview, like that was so heartbreaking because it's like you know exactly what that means. Like it means he has to stay. And they don't like repeat it. They have that one conversation where he discusses it and then they cut away to other stuff. And then you put out of your mind for a second, and then when it comes back around, it just hits you
It's yeah.
in a hard way. And Clarence getting his light letter, like it was, yeah, that sucked. It
Mm.
was just like really, really hard to watch.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know, the cinematography was really great, and just
Yeah.
like the visual storytelling of how they were able to convey those things was really, really powerful. Because it is a prison, but they're outside a lot, or they're looking outside a lot. So
Mhm.
you don't feel as like claustrophobic in that environment. And because they have this big space where they can practice and do their plays and stuff, like it doesn't feel as confining. It's not until you get those certain moments, the interview, the ransacking of the rooms where you were like very much reminded, like, no, these people aren't in confinement. Like they're in really bad circumstances. So it's just like a constant kind of up and down. Like sometimes you're feeling good because, they're doing the play and they're having a great time. And then it's just like slams you right back down to earth when he gets the big package. It's like, oh,
Yeah, like you
yeah.
mentioned the cinematography, and I think a lot of the shots were intentional. Like, as far as like they would show clips of them in like on the grounds, and you see grass and stuff or trees, like they're talking underneath trees or whatever.
Mm,
Or I remember one particular shot where they're looking at one of the guard towers, and you see trees in the distance. There's blades of grass poking through the concrete, and a train is rushing by. And you get the feeling like, yeah, they're in prison, and they have some semblance of nature, but then it pulls these long shots where you see the prison from a distance, like across the river, and you see this complex, but it's surrounded by a forest full of trees and everything. And then
mm,
you have these shots of Domingo Coleman just like his character staring out the windows or reaching out through the bars just to feel that warmth of sunlight, like even though that they're still confined, like freedom is just right there and they're
mm,
just being constricted in that one area. And
yeah.
and I think the cinematographer was amazed by the amount of light that comes through prison walls,
Mm,
but the concept of it being like being immensely dark. Like there's so much light coming through all the nature around, but the prisons themselves like feel so dark and cold, and like that translating the emotions these characters are having when they all have their individual breakdowns outside of Domingo Coleman's character. um Clarence has that breakdown when somebody walks behind him, like he's like, yo, don't sneak up behind me because I'm thinking about to shank me. The one guy talks about being a drug runner and getting some watching somebody's like neck get slit, and they have to pretend like that's normal. Like
hmm
those use of those shots of the exterior shots really help sell how trapped they are in that room or that
hmm
space.
Yeah. And that like their freedom is just out of reach. Like it's just like right there.
Mm,
It's tough. Like it's really tough to watch that stuff. And especially, yeah, it was that gentleman who was talking about how he had watched someone die literally in front of him. And as
mm,
he was describing it, and he was just like, yeah, that it's like in this setting, it's like you have to be normalized to a certain amount of violence. And he was just like, this is a place where we can find our humanity and stuff. And like, remember that we're not like subjects or animals, like we are people. And that really that got me choked up. I was like, "Oh my God." Because it's so true. And I didn't know that they had programs like this. Like I knew that they had like certain programs where you could go in and like I don't know. I think there was like you could do choir or something like that. Like I knew that there were those things existed, but I
mm,
did not know that there was like an arts program where you could like put on actual plays and stuff. Like that is so I did not know about that until this movie. So that was really cool to see like that they had like costumes and production design and they were really able to like get into character and had like a full script, a play that was like completely nonsensical but like they
mhm,
just threw everything in there because they wanted everyone to be included. Like I just thought that was so great. And again, it's like one of those things that you take for granted as well, especially if you're in the creative fields. You're just like, well, I can just do this whenever. Like I actually don't need like
mhm,
to be on a production or whatever, to be a writer or to be an actor or whatever. Like you are still those things, even if you aren't getting paid for it.
yeah,
But like the fact that they're using this as like a way to regain their humanity and to remember who they are
mhm,
and to just feel like what you would be feeling in a situation, but still try to find some hope. Like it is just like, it's just really emotional. Like
yeah,
it's very emotional.
yeah. Like to me, this is what I think prison and jail should be about. It should be about rehabilitation. I guess
Yeah.
I think we're far too attenuated with you did the crime, do the time, you're punished, feel bad. I remember like high school, whatever. You know. we would do like my church, like our choir in particular, we do a lot of trips to youth detention facilities, and just to see how like I'm like, yo, these kids are just like me, and you can see guards yelling at them. I'm like, yo, this man is like 4 years, like 14. Like, why is he
Mm,
I like? It's like it's really unfair and hard to like when you go visit people in those environments or when you see them on screen, like to really like wrestle with visually. But then you remember like, but there are people who have to experience this. Like, I can just turn the TV off and be fine, like, and be cool. Or, oh, I'm only going to be here visiting them for like an hour and I'm out. Yeah, but there for them, it's their whole existence. Like, and I think needs to be a larger conversation in this country, not just in the country but globally,
mm.
about um the prison industrial complex and what its actual purpose should be used for. So,
Yeah, I completely agree. Because it's like this country has like a fascination. In particular, I don't know about other places, but it seems like we love prisons over here. And just like this deep connection with corporate punishment. Like there is like this need to punish and dehumanize people who have done things that have harmed others. And like that's what kind of put me in a tailspin because I was just like, well, what about the people like the families and stuff who were affected by what these people did? Like it's like I don't it's a hard conversation to have because like obviously there needs to be consequences,
mhm.
but like I don't think that people who are serving these like long sentences or even people who are like really young who probably just got like as Clarence was saying that his son is also was also in prison and it's like can we talk about the cycles of violence? Like, can we
Yeah,
talk about like the environments these people are growing up in? Like, people who are hard, desperate, like have been pushed to the edge to do really terrible things, who have grown up around like people who are doing all of these things, like who don't know another life other than the life that they're living. Like, there's just so much to unpack and talk about because it's interesting because it's like this story is about these guys who are doing, theater at their prison. But like all of the other stuff that comes with like this movie and this story in particular is just fascinating. Like you could literally talk about it for
yeah,
hours.
yeah. I think the perfect summation of the movie for me is when Divine G, Domingo Coleman's character, he's doing this clemency hearing. They're talking about, oh, you're involved in all this stuff in the jail. Clearly, you are a good person. Like the man is
Mm,
talking about, going to the famed school in high school in New York. Like he's not about that life, top to
mm,
bottom. But she's thrown into an environment where he has to kind of embody those characteristics. And they're like, oh, you're doing this, you're working with this program in the jail, you're helping these guys, blah blah blah. And the lady goes, "Oh, what about your experience in the arts program where you guys teach you act?" It's like, "Oh, I do X, Y, and Z. I direct. Sometimes I write. Sometimes I act." And she goes, "Are you acting now?"
mm,
So now you're like, okay, this program we put together for rehabilitation, we're gonna bastardize it and say, "Oh, these guys learn how to act in
mm,
order to get freedom," And then that I think that was one of the scenes that kind of like, damn, no matter how much good he did, because of what he's doing in the program they set up for them, they're now questioning, oh, if it is your rehabilitation actually true? Yeah,
mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm. Yeah, that made me really upset. I was like, wow, like why are you twisting such a good thing that he's doing here? Like, and then also like, what do you want me to say to that? How do I respond to that in a way that shifts your opinion? If I say no, I'm not acting, you're just gonna think I'm lying. So
or
like what was
being combative or belligerent or
yeah,
violent.
like what was the point of that question, sis? Like I hated that. I hated that so much. Um, but yeah, it was his journey in particular was really great to watch just because like he is starting off as a person who was like in the system and willing to help others and then he loses his best friend like his what is it parole, is that what it's called?
Oh, Mike.
No.
Oh, his clemency hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, that gets denied. It's just like so and then his this other guy he gets the clemency. It's just like so much was happening so fast and I liked how they showed how he was kind of unraveling underneath that
Mhm.
um and how the guys were reacting to it. like one of the guys were like, well, we all have stuff going on and stuff. Like, you don't leave the group. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But also, like, that's a lot to have. Like, this person who's usually like very positive has gone through all of this stuff. Like, I think he's allowed to
Yeah.
just not show up for a couple of rehearsals and be upset. Like, to me, I would be like, yeah, you know what, do your thing and come back when you are ready. But I don't know. I guess these guys were like, you can't step away. Cause I guess in their minds, it's like, we've all lost a friend. We've all struggled. So you just show up anyway. So it was interesting to see him go through that and then come back. And also Clarence's character having his own transformation of being this kind of hard edge guy, cocky, whatever,
Um,
to being like sitting down with Coleman and being like, we love you, like we want you to come back. Like that was their friendship was just so like beautiful to watch,
mm,
awesome. And at the end, when he picks him up in his truck, I was like, yes, let's get
yeah.
out of here.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, it
was
was
great.
that ending was really touching. Because like you said, it's a culmination of like almost two people who are very adversarial,
Yeah,
realizing they're very much alike,
right.
And you see Clarence tries to make those steps after Domingo's like, you really don't want to do this. He's like, oh, we both got sons, that kind of stuff. My son is here, your son doesn't know what his father is, like, and you kind of see like as much as you're not a person who was running the streets like I was. We have stuff very much in common. We have the same wants, needs, and fears. And I think at the end of the day, that's it for everybody.
Yeah.
We all have the same wants, needs, and fears. But yeah, this movie, hopefully, it gets a bigger run, not bigger run, bigger viewing audience during its second run. I think it made like 3 million of its initial
Mhm.
box office. Domingo Coleman's like in the award chase because of his role in this. But yeah, and I think Clarence, I think he won like a Gotham Award as best
Yeah,
supporting
he's
actor
he's
for
been
it.
nominated for some stuff too.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and hopefully more people. This also gets people more aware of the program and gets their involvement in that program on a local level, helping these prisoners wherever the program happens in their area. So
Yeah. To me, that's the purpose of what these award shows actually are for. In my mind, it's just getting more exposure for the things that you probably didn't hear about.
yeah.
So I really hope that this is one of them because this was a fantastic movie, like absolutely incredible. So
Okay. Do you want to keep going, or we got 7 minutes left, or do you
yeah,
want
I
to
guess
just
we could start.
Okay. Where if it cuts off, what do we
And
do?
when it cuts off,
All
we'll
right.
cut it off at 1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute. Okay. So what do you want to cover first? The Golden Globe stuff? All right. So moving on, like I mentioned lightly during our conversation about Sing Sing, of course, it's award season kicking off with the Golden Globes. Um, I'm hearing a lot of news. Like I wasn't able to watch it personally. Um, I was out. It was my birthday, so I didn't get to watch it. So I'm kind of catching back up on it. But based on response, it was received a lot better compared to last year's. I think it's mostly on the strength of the host. I know last year they had issues with the comedian Joe K, and his jokes not hitting it the way it usually where it should be. Um, but I think what I'm hearing is Nikki Glazer did an amazing job as host with the program. I'm gonna probably watch it later on for my own feeling of it. But yeah, like I think the awards for it, I wasn't really surprised. Like the Brutalist one for like drama being out Concave. I think I haven't seen Brutalist, but I think Concave probably is one of the better movies that came out this year that's a little slept on. Um, we have like
Yeah.
Adrian Brody one for Best Performing Actor. You know, you,
Yes, Adrian Brody.
yeah, yeah.
Where have you been, bro?
Man, I haven't seen a lot of Adrian Brody stuff
Yeah,
except he was in like a
he's in like a Wes Anderson movie, I
yeah,
think.
yeah,
Yeah, that was the last time I
yeah,
seen
like
him.
post like Halle Berry Oscar thing. He's been kind of like doing hasn't really doing the prominent roles he used to do, you
But
know.
he's back. He said,
But
"I'm
he's back.
back."
He's back. I meant like
Um, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was like I remember I mentioned before talking to you about being stuck on the plane watching Challengers going to Jamaica. I wouldn't
Mhm.
recommend watching that movie on a plane. Um, but I think Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross they won for best original score, and I know those are your boys. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, those. those are the boys. The Challenger's soundtrack is one of those things where it's like it's good, but it's overused in the film, so you
Mm.
get really annoyed with it. And also the mixing of the audio with the score really made you miss out on key conversations during that movie. So there are some issues with me, and I guess more the technical aspects of like how the score is used. But in terms of like, was the score good? Yeah, it's a bop. It's a
Yeah.
nice little ditty. So I'm glad they won. I feel like that was deserved. I think in the category that Challengers was up for, I think this was either the Substance or a Nora one. I can't remember which one it was. It was one of those
One of those,
guys.
yeah.
Which like yeah. Um and I think oh yeah, and Zoe Saldana won a Golden Globe, which is really cool. I love Zoe. She has been putting in work for so many years. Like the way I grew up watching this woman's movies, I'm really happy that she's getting the recognition she deserves for her work. I've heard mixed things about Emilia Perez, but like I don't care. I will support Zoe Saldana. So fine.
Yeah.
And also Kieran Culkin won
Yeah.
for the movie that he did with Jesse Eisenberg, which I'm actually really excited to
Yeah.
watch. So it's like I like the Golden Globes because it kind of shows you kind of who will be kind of in the race of like as we lead up to the Oscars.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kieran Culkin especially has been getting a lot of attention for his role. So I'm thinking that come Oscar time, he's
Yeah.
probably gonna
Yeah.
win, which is kind of cool.
Can you imagine if you're like in the 90s, Mary Kay and Ashley Olsen, Macaulay
Yes.
Culkin, and then you tell them, yeah, in like 20 years, no one will know who they are, but will know about their siblings. We'll know about Elizabeth and we'll know
Mm.
about Karen. Like, can you imagine telling them or telling people back then, oh, in like 20 years they don't matter. Their siblings will. Like it's
Well,
amazing to watch how Karen just basically came out of nowhere with a Scott Pilgrim and has been
oh
like
yeah.
got the ball rolling with his career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, Mary Kay and Ashley are fashion designers and very
True.
successful.
True. They're
But
all
like,
successful, yeah. Like
I don't know what Macaulay Culkin is doing, to be honest. I know he's
me,
married to Brenda Song, my queen. Like, I know that.
he got his life on track, He still
And
has
that's
his money, but his
honestly, that's the best thing.
that's the best thing.
I don't care. Please be healthy. Like, I don't even care if you're not working or not doing that much work. Like,
Yeah.
please be healthy. Because Macaulay Culkin's childhood, good God, like terrifying. Wouldn't wish that on anyone. So
Yeah.
like, but yeah, Kieran Culkin, he's doing his thing. Like it's
Yeah.
really cool. And like post Succession, I feel like it's so amazing that he's still like getting these great roles.
Like Sebastian Stan outside of his Marvel projects. He's doing what every other
Yeah.
Marvel actor wants to like, look, I'm getting nominated for awards. Like and because he gets nominated and wins the awards, he can go like, oh, Marvel can go, oh, you're not a big star, but I won the award though. You gotta bump up that
Right.
check now.
That's what that means.
I
That's what
might
that
not be the
means.
draw to y'all, but I got the award. So bump up my paycheck. So,
Yeah, that's smart.
yeah, smart.
Okay, so moving on to our next story. That we missed because it happened during our break. But if you don't know, Blake Lively has sued Justin Baldoni and his production company, alleging sexual harassment.
Hmm.
She filed a complaint first, but then she actually sued him later. Um, and that she did that on December 20th. And then Justin Baldoni sued Blake Lively, and he also sued the New York Times for $250 million on December 31st, alleging libel, false light, invasion of privacy, promissory fraud, and breach of implied, okay, thanks for that pop up, implied in fact contract. So, gosh, I guess I don't know if we really covered this. I'm assuming we probably covered a little bit of it when it was happening back in August.
Yeah.
But to recap quickly, the movie It Ends With Us, based on the book, had come out in August, and Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were the stars of that movie. Blake Lively was an executive producer. Justin was a director, directed the movie. He and his production company also bought the rights to the book. So they were involved in this thing. And online, like there was a lot of conversation about how like they did not get along and how Justin had asked about Blake's weight and like the cast unfollowed him on Instagram and he was like they had two separate press tours. They were not at like together at the premiere. So there was like all this conversation about like both of them or like there was some like weird stuff going on during the shooting of this film.
Mm,
Now it's not just like internet rumors or whatever. Like it's Blake Lively has come out and said, you know, she was sexually harassed by Justin Baldoni and that he had come into her trailer while she was undressed or while she was breastfeeding, and that he was putting in kisses where they did not need to be. That there was no intimacy coordinator on set during their sex scenes and stuff like that. And she had this whole story. She put out her complaint, and then the New York Times came out with a story about how there was this massive smear campaign by Justin's team, kind of basically ruined Blake's reputation.
mm,
Um, and after that, a lot of her co-stars, a lot of her friends, all of them came out in support of Blake, and what had happened here. Now, in the light of this, like Justin's lawyers were like, "Whoa, it's not true," and we have a lot of evidence corroborating our side and stuff. The most damning part about this case was that there were multiple text messages
mm,
from Justin's PR people. He hired a crisis management team to kind of take care of this situation as it was unfolding, as the press tour of It Ends With Us was going on, whatever. So, like, when I saw the text messages, I was like, wow, this looks really bad. Like, I don't know how anyone could look at these messages and be like, something nefarious didn't happen. Like, it just, to me, it was like, well, yeah, it looks bad. So he is not looking too great for him. And a lot of people were either it was weird because a lot of people were like comparing this to the Depp and Heard case, and I don't know why, but like those were the comparisons that were being made.
mm.
Um, and then Justin came out with his, I guess, countersuit because he not only did he sue Blake Lively, being like, well, she lied and I never did this, but he sued the New York Times for not really be like investigating this story properly. And then they released their own text messages about like what was going on set. And it's just incredibly messy, but also a huge insight into like how the Hollywood industry machine works when it comes to public relations. Very bad. Like these people are on another level of insane. Like there was text messages from that Blake Lively had released saying that like his Justin Baldoni's own PR person was basically like he's nothing, he's nobody, nobody cares about him. Now, I think that person had been fired, so
Yeah,
maybe that was post firing, but like you slamming your own client is crazy. Number one. Number two, why are all these things written in text messages?
yeah,
I'm confused on how these are supposed to be like experts at their industry, and y'all are having all of this incriminating stuff documented, like literally written down. Like you're not smart.
yeah.
Like that, I think that's the only conclusion I can draw is that you're just not intelligent. Like, because what are you doing writing these things down? Like, no one ever thought that, like, maybe someone in this day and age, like, even if it wasn't about like you getting sued, even though it seemed like they very much thought like Blake could come out and do something.
Yeah.
Let's put that aside. You can get hacked. Like all your information can come out anyway.
What a
So
yeah,
like why isn't the thinking like, hey, let's meet up in person and have these conversations in person and not actually write these things down? Like I think there was one text where she was like, oh, it's gonna look really bad if we write this down. It's like, girl, you're already saying it in the text messages. Like what? So that didn't make any sense to me. I was like, these people are insane, obviously. And also just like not really concerned that much about the clients involved. It's more just like, oh, I have this influence to kind of make or break people's reputations. Like that's what it really came down to. It was just like, well, we can ruin this person's reputation, or I'm afraid of my reputation being ruined by this other person. And I
Mm,
just feel like, can we just go to work and like do our jobs? Like, I don't understand. I guess I don't know. I'm just like, this
mm,
did not need to be the thing that it was. And
yeah.
I feel like Justin felt like Blake was taking over the set and Ryan Reynolds was involved for
Mm,
because of course he is. Like, why? Of course he is. Like, him inserting himself into the press tour to me was a big red flag because I was like, why are you even involved in this movie at all? This has nothing to do with you. Um, so that made me upset. But to go through the Justin's case and be like, oh, he was like calling people to his apartment to like berate them about like what was happening on set and how Blake was not being treated properly and how he had all this influence on the final edit of the movie. Sony like telling them not to market it properly because they wouldn't want it to be about domestic violence. They wanted it to be about hope and resistance. What? Like, what do you mean? I don't know. I just have everyone in the story looks bad. I feel like that is the conclusion I'm drawing from this. Um, if Blake Lively, like, if it's proven that she was actually sexually harassed and stuff, I feel a huge amount of compassion for that, and I'm really sad for that. And I hope that that never happens again to her or to anyone. Like, it's just. It's terrible when you have to go to work and you're under those kind of circumstances. That's really awful. And but that's like besides how I feel about her personally. I feel like they honestly the crisis team really didn't need to do anything. Like she has said and done things that are really unflattering. Why are you selling your hair care products during this press tour? Like that's a movie that's about domestic violence. None of it makes any sense. Like she's very out of touch. Why are you incorporating your husband into this? Like he doesn't need to be a part of this movie at all. So that was annoying as
yeah.
well. So Blake Lively isn't like innocent in terms of like how she's been acting or how she was acting during the production or during the press tour for this. But if she was sexually harassed, she was sexually harassed. I feel like people don't know how to parse things. Like they think that like if you have issues with Blake Lively, then you are just against all women and you don't believe all women, which is not true. But whatever, that's the internet stuff. Justin Baldoni, like if everything that he is saying is proven true, then I feel bad because it's probably really difficult to work with someone who does have a higher profile than you do and does have a lot more influence than you do, even though you're the director of the film. Um, but it kind of just seems like everyone was kind of just messy and not communicating properly, and there was just a lot of things that were it didn't seem like a cohesive set at all, and then that kind of like led on to like other issues between these two people. Who knows what the rest of the cast were going through as this was unfolding, but um it just seemed like a whole toxic thing from top to bottom. Everyone involved was toxic. Like it just seems like insane that
Mm,
all of the stuff was happening behind the scenes. And it was just like rumor at first, and now it's like confirmed like the set was a hot mess for a movie that is not good. Let's just say that.
that's a
So
that's a lot. There's a lot going on with that.
like
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know because I even scrolling through like Twitter and Instagram randomly one day, like this week, I saw a video of Justin Blake, um, her husband Ryan Reynolds, and
mm,
they're taking a picture on the red carpet, and she runs and grabs like one of his girlfriend or his wife to take a photo with them. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of this drama might
mm,
be a bit manufactured in a way to somehow
mm,
bolster the status of the movie because if all this was happening during production and let's be honest, Blake Lively isn't as big a bankable actress as she thinks she is. Like anybody really gonna see Blake go in a movie watch, oh, you see that new Blake Lively picture? No, ain't nobody talking like that. You know, I can understand her using Ryan Reynolds to push muscle in because he's kind of a bankable star right now. But I feel like a lot of this stuff, this drama, was probably most likely internally manufactured to generate some news or clicks for the project because everybody's like, "Oh, if this kind of drama happens between the actors, I wonder what the movie's like," kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical as to the validity of everything that's going on. So
Yeah, I hope it's not a ploy. Like the book, it like especially on TikTok and stuff, the book was very big
mm,
because I don't know. I don't know why. It doesn't seem like it's a good book, but um so I guess you had the audience from that wanting the movie, and so when the movie came out, it was like everyone was probably like people who were fans of that book particularly were gonna go see the movie. And I think that all of this stuff that happened behind the scenes is just like two people who should just never have worked together. That's really what it seems like. It just seems like this was you guys were not compatible in terms of like leading this film. And I don't know, sometimes the casting works out where everyone gets along and it's great. And sometimes you don't, but you just kind of go on and do your job. But if there's other stuff that was happening, like that just felt weird and like unexplained and like or there were explanations but they don't really make any sense. It's just very like what happened here? Like and why wasn't anyone else like higher up involved when all this stuff was going down? It's just
mm,
very like I mean, I'm not saying that they would have come out and been like, okay, yep, all this stuff is going down, but just been like would have been able to step in. It seemed like there wasn't like anyone to really like step in and be like, hey, like this
no,
isn't working. Maybe we like after because I know they had to break for the SAG strikes. So maybe it's like we need to, I don't know, figure something else out, recast. I mean, you're losing a lot of money, but like I don't know if Sony wanted all of this, like, or if Wayfair, Justin's company, like, was like, hey, let's do this movie. Have two actors who do not need to be working together, like they are not working well together. Let's just keep doing that. That'll work out. It's like sometimes we just gotta pull the plug. Like, let's just call it quits. But this every day there seems to be more to the story. So yeah.
we'll see. It's really weird that just kind of drama keeps happening for this project, which isn't really good. Um, but in the length of talking about projects that aren't really good, Sony's Spider-Man universe is finally done. Now that Marvel now has the rights back for Spider-Man. Um, Sony's, I guess, the last animated picture for Spider-Man will be the second Spider-Verse movie,
Mm,
or the third one. And they're also working on a Spider-Man War, which is in production, starring Nicolas Cage. Um, their movie trilogy sequels like Morbius, Madam Web, Craven, even the Venom trilogy has had mixed reviews, and it's really not successful.
mm,
Um, because even when they were disputing with Marvel, because Marvel was trying to get the rights back for Spider-Man, um, I don't know why Sony agreed to just give them Spider-Man back when they had the rights and they were still making Spider-Man movies.
mm,
That means they had the rights to make Iron Man films. They could have just, say fuck it, we're gonna make Spider-Man movies and include his villains. There was no way making a Spider-Man universe where his villains are now the heroes was ever going to work. The one movie they did make with a hero, Madam Web, was just horrible. I don't
mm,
think her character itself is that engaging at all, even
mm,
even as a comic reader. And they were kind of had to rely on, hey, we're going to create three other Spider Women, which are also engaging in the comic books, but it didn't pan out. I mean, even Venom was really mixed.
mm.
So we'll see how it goes. War is in production. It's either a TV series or a film. I'm not sure at the moment. I kind of don't believe
I
Nicolas
think
Cage.
it's
What
I think it's a TV series.
TV series? Nicolas Cage agreed to do a TV series? Okay, all right. Hopefully, he gets his one season and calls it quits. But yeah, it was. I don't. It was a really. I think they banked. Sony was banking on the success of Spider-Man as a character, and they tried to do something that was impossible to do with his heroes. Like Venom, it makes sense because in the comic books, Venom is kind of portrayed as an anti-hero. He
Mm.
could be a villain, he could be a good guy, but the rest of those characters, no. So I don't know who behind Sony's board was like, yeah, we can make a Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man, it'll work. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they didn't make a lot of good decisions, to be honest. Like the fact that it took them so many movies to be like, oh, this isn't working.
yeah,
It's hilarious.
yeah.
Like you guys are not like wake up, we gotta turn the lights on because
Look,
it's not it's not
and
connecting.
it's not the first time it happened. I remember Warner Brothers did a Catwoman movie with Halle Berry in the early two
Loved it. It was
thousands.
amazing.
Okay, that was campy as
It
hell.
was
And
great.
it was bad. Let's be
It was
real.
fantastic,
Okay,
actually.
you're saying
Actually,
it
it was
because it's
great.
Halle Berry, but okay,
Yeah,
let's
it
be
was
real.
amazing. Yeah.
So they had a preview of how that option would turn out using a superhero IP and not embracing the superhero-ness or full aesthetics of it. So I don't, yeah.
Which is
Well,
weird because like the Penguin doesn't have Batman in it,
yeah,
but it was still great.
but he's still the Penguin though. It's not they're not trying to paint Penguin as a hero. It's still set in that world of where
Okay, so
Batman exists.
maybe
Yeah,
that's a mistake. They were trying to make them heroes
yeah,
instead of just letting them be
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, these movies were flops. Like they were flops. Madam Web with Craven the Hunt, Morbius. Like it's really that was so embarrassing. It was just like yikes. So, I'm really happy that they were like, we're done with this. Let's just stop.
yeah.
And well, let's move on. Let's think of new ideas. Like Sony, get it together, girl. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So in big news, it's kind of non-drug, but it's happened earlier today or earlier, um, this weekend from Friday. Um, which I want to see. I'm curious to see how this influences media going forward. Um, Net neutrality was kind of being blocked by a court of appeals court in Cincinnati, saying the FCC didn't have the legal authority to reinstate the landmark net neutrality rules. Of course, net neutrality was a seminal part of both the Democratic presidential campaign, not campaigns, but their bills from starting with Barack Obama until, of course, Trump repealed it when he took office. And then Joe Biden reintroduced it again. And it's kind of
Mm.
funny that Trump stops it. Trump's going into office. It stops again. Ironic how it works, but it's kind of been a 20-year push to actually make the internet function as a public utility, like water, gas, electricity, where everybody, regardless of, say, I have Comcast and you have AT&T, we both get same amount of data, same amount, we're not restricted, like especially now a lot of these internet service providers and telecom companies also owning cable and platforms like Peacock is kind of with Comcast. It won't stop somebody outside of that network, to get slower programs or slow data or be restricted to their access just because they're on a separate IP.
Mm.
So it's interesting to see how go forward, how that'll work. Because under the Communications Act of 1934, they kind of want to regard that as a public utility service. Um, so we'll see, especially with the state of Netflix, Hulu, all these streaming platforms that kind of and also gaming as well. How a lot of the internet is kind of reliant upon IPs and stuff, and these kind of internet service providers kind of can do whatever they want. So we'll see how that affects the state of streaming going forward. As people say, "Oh, I'm
Mm.
not getting the content I want because you're blocking me because I don't have a cable provider that you work with." So we'll see how that goes, or it just might increase piracy. So which I'm a big
Yeah.
advocate for. So we'll see how that affects media going forward for the next 4 years until they're able to codify it, hopefully in a democratic way in 4 years, or when they take over the Senate in two, hopefully. So, yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, and the state of streaming is already so bad. It's like going from bad to worse. All right. So let's talk about what we've watched over our break.
I'll be honest, I have not watched anything from we last recorded all the way till now between Christmas, New Year's, and my birthday. Done really nothing but chill. Like I said, I watched Challengers over the air flying to Jamaica. I am much darker than I usually am. The only thing I did watch in the past 3 weeks was Carry On, everybody watched that on Netflix during Christmas. Apparently, it was like
What's
one of
that?
Netflix's. Carry On is basically with uh uh Edgerton. Dang, kid, I can't pronounce his first name, but the kid from the Kingsman,
Oh, Joel
Joel. Yeah, no, yeah, is it Joel? I think
or
Joel was the other guy.
Taryn?
Taron
Oh,
Egerton. He plays a TSA agent in LAX who's kind of gets forced to put a bomb on a plane with a American senator, and it involves him removing the bomb and stopping the terrorists and saving the day on Christmas Eve. And I think
hmm.
everybody watched that over the holiday, and apparently Netflix is recording it as one of their biggest Netflix projects. Or, but you never know at Netflix because Netflix doesn't release their numbers. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and somebody I remember reading a comment on Blue Sky about, oh, this is an interesting concept. How come nobody's ever had the idea of having a terrorist plot on Christmas Eve? It's basically Die Hard. So,
Oh,
so yeah. Um, Yeah, it's not a bad movie. It got me by for a day, But yeah, I'm trying to catch up on a lot of stuff. Like we mentioned, the Golden Globes. I got to catch up on a lot of stuff that I would have watched during the break leading up to the Golden Globes. So hopefully I can get that done.
yeah. There were many movies that have not been watched over the last few months that have been of large conversation and are now
Mhm.
in the award circuit. So have a lot to do there. I'll get there piece by piece.
We'll get there.
Um,
We usually do.
yeah, we usually pull it off. Um, but yeah, I started watching the Gilmore Girls TV show
Mhm.
from back in the day. Um, I can't stop watching it. Like it's like I'm watching like multiple episodes a day, and these episodes are like from back in the day where there were like 23 episodes a season, 40 something minutes each episode. Like it's a lot. But I love it. And I can't it's weird because like everyone talked about it, like especially during fall, everyone goes back and like does their rewatch of Gilmore Girls. But I watched it when I was younger. I watched a couple episodes of it when I was younger, but then I never really stuck with it.
Mhm.
So like going back, I'm just like, or did I even watch it? Is that a lie I just made up? Maybe. I think I might have watched it, but I feel like I probably didn't. I can't remember now. Either way, I'm watching it and I'm loving it. It's great, and I cannot wait to continue to watch it. They did 7 seasons, and there's like an extra season that came out a couple years ago when
Mhm.
they're all older. So I can't wait for that. And I've also been watching Black Doves, which is the show with Keira Knightley, and I don't let me forget his name. He's in Paddington, and he's great. What is your name?
Paddington, like Paddington Bear.
No, he's ah the actor, he's like a really good actor. He's a great British actor. Come on. Come on.
I
I
can't
don't
help you
want
with
to
it.
I don't want
Google
to
it. We got time. You gotta Google it.
I don't want to mess it up. Yes, Ben Winshaw, sorry.
Okay.
Ben
Oh, Ben
Winshaw.
Whishaw, my dude from Q
Yes.
from James Bond.
Yes, and from James Bond, yes, been in many things. He's
Yeah.
fantastic. And Keira Knightley. I'm
Hmm.
watching that with my friend, so that has been interesting. Like it's a really short miniseries, but like I love it. I love Keira Knightley. I will write for her forever. So like I very much enjoyed. We're enjoying it. We're getting into it. There's a lot going on, but we're figuring it out. Um, for my movie club, we had to watch Stand By Me and Jackie's Back, which is the movie with Jennifer Lewis, a black
Hmm.
movie that I literally have never heard of.
Hmm.
Um, so I watched some of that. I watched like 30 minutes of Jackie's Back. Hilarious. Jennifer Lewis is a gem. Like, I'm so grateful that she is an actress and she's like still doing stuff. Fantastic.
Hmm.
And Stand By Me, I watched like 20 something minutes of that because there was a lot going on. I was like cramming movies into like one day, so I couldn't watch everything. It's very sweet. I love the kids' relationships. It's very sad that River Phoenix is no longer with us
Hmm.
and that Corey Feldman, I have no idea what he's doing, but like it was really sweet to see these kids who end up growing up and like doing other great movies like as children, really good kid actors.
Mm.
Will Wheaton, who I only knew from The Big Bang Theory because I didn't watch
Star
Star
Trek,
Trek the
NTG.
yeah. I
Okay.
didn't watch that, but they were obsessed with him on that show. So I knew him from that. I did not know that he was in Stand By Me. So watched that, saw it, thought he was great. I actually really want to finish that movie, but like
Finish
I
it.
have
I
to
mean,
yeah,
finish it. Finish
I
it.
am going to. I'm going to finish that movie. And so I watched that as well. Did I watch anything else? No. Um, no. I haven't watched any other new movies. I want to watch Interstellar because I haven't seen Interstellar. That's like the only Christopher Nolan movie I think I haven't seen.
How
So
have
I
you
gotta
not
watch
seen
that.
Interstellar?
Everyone has asked me that same question. I haven't watched it because when it came out,
We've
everyone was
talked about
like,
Interstellar on the podcast.
"You talked about it, probably." I haven't seen Interstellar. Everyone, when it came out, everyone was like, the reviews on it was actually pretty mixed. Like people weren't sure how they felt about the movie at all. And then I was just like, okay, well then I don't need to see it. But so it's been like years and I still haven't. I've seen like clips from it, but I haven't seen the whole movie. So I'm gonna watch the whole movie, and I'm very excited about that because I love Matthew McConaughey. So yeah, but that's that along with all of the other movies that I haven't seen that are being discussed this year. This was a bad year in terms of like me actually watching movies. I looked at my letterbox and I was like, I have not been watching a lot of movies. This is crazy. What was I doing all year? Like we were watching movies, but it feels like less than we usually do. So anyways, that's going on my watch list. Very excited about that. The end.
I'm still sad. I'm still amazed that A, you haven't seen Interstellar yet, and B, it's like your first time watching Stand By Me.
Yeah, well, I'm not a kid. You're a child of the 90s, so it's different for you.
No. See, that movie came
I'm a
out
child of the 2000s, so
that movie came out 3 years before I was born. So that don't mean anything.
It didn't come out in 85?
Came out in like 1986.
Yeah, you were not born in 19. You were
What
born
I'm
in
saying,
late.
though, what I'm saying now,
You were born in the late 80s, which means that you're a child of the 90s. You see what I'm saying? So like that was a part of your growing up.
Fair, I guess.
That was not a part of my growing up. The only reason why I know about it is because it's like a very iconic film. So like I'm like, yeah, well, I need to watch it, obviously, but and I am enjoying it so far. Since finish it. But yes. So and I will watch Interstellar. I will come back next week and give my analysis of Interstellar. Anyways, so that is it from us this week. We hope that you're all doing well. Make sure to check out all of our social media. Support us if you can, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Au revoir.